Hello, everybody. Welcome back to One Leeds. I feel I was all pumped for that, and now I'm all mellow again.
I feel like I just come out of a spa. Like I'm proper like.
I need to switch around that music. Some people
just need some whale noises, and then it's got everything.
Someone said, I think Kobe with the comment so far, this is the music I'll play when I tell the missus I've got nothing for Valentine's Day but a cuddle. Absolutely brilliant. Guys, before we start, we are sponsored, as always, by Team Waller. I can't say any more superlatives about these guys. They keep sending me through the good stuff. We've got all these plaques here for the man caves, for the bedrooms. You can get this one for $5.99. If you get another one for $7.99, they're sending me another, I think, 6 through as well, which is amazing. I think they're sending you some through as well, Brownie. I've sent them your address.
I need it for these walls. I feel like I'm in an asylum. I'm not allowed to paint it. Like, they're all white. I'm like, I feel like
first a spa and now an asylum levels. Yeah. But yeah, guys, make sure you go check those guys out. Worldwide shipping, perfect for gifts and all that good stuff. So make sure you check them out. The link's in the description below. Brownie, Leeds, Europe.
Don't tease me.
Synonymous with each other. I thought it'd be a good idea, mate. We've been doing a bit of research on this for the past sort of day, really. And I know we're excited after the last win against Crystal Palace, a brilliant performance. A day after that, mate, how are you feeling? Are you just still in awe of just the control and how good we were in that game?
I'm still watching the Raphinha videos, to be honest. I'm on repeat. But yeah, it just didn't have the feel of a newly promoted team, did it? It just felt like we'd been in the Premier League for years, and it was just so accomplished. And the way we were just strolling the ball around, it was just like Palace just wanted the game to end, get back on the bus back to London. It was just very, what's the right word? And all round, the game management felt loads better. We didn't seem panicked. We just seemed so calm. Maybe I had that music on at half time. I don't know. But they just, yeah, you're right, mate. It's just like that's another game boxed off onto the next one. And you just don't know, like we're saying, you just don't know where it can lead, do you, mate? The way they've got them playing, they're that well drilled, the patterns of play, they know exactly where they're going to be. It reminds me, probably won't want people for me to say this, but back in the 90s, when Man United were just on another level, they knew where everybody was going to be, no matter what. They didn't need to look. A pass from Keane, Scholes out. You knew Giggs was going to be there. It was just on that telepathic wavelength. And it just feels like, more so on the right-hand side, Dallas is going to play it into early, Neely's going to play it down the line, the next man's going to win. They just seem to be so well drilled. It's just not a newly promoted team's sort of feel.
No, and I think it's important. Nick Buxton saying, put the crack pipe down, lads. We've barely taken a point off the teams above us. Europe is a way off yet. I think we understand that. It's a discussion point. We're just having a little bit of a natter about it. I
think it was Dan in the comments when the music was on saying he made a good point about it would kill us on a Thursday night. And I do agree. Like, we've chucked away the FA Cup. We've chucked away the League Cup with the teams we put out. You look at our bench the other night, and they were chalk and cheese just with Crystal Palace, the players they could bring on compared to us. But you've got a dream. Like 3 years ago, I think I saw a tweet the other day, we were announcing Paul Heckingbottom and we were in the bottom half of the Championship. Now we're having a discussion about Europe. And I was of that opinion like Dan. You do have to think it would kill us squad depth. But we've attracted players like Raphinha without Europe just because of the Bielsa factor. Imagine what we attract with Europe. It's a scary thought, to be fair.
Yeah, it is, mate. And I think, there's so many points to touch on in terms of why we could get it. There's a big one for me, which I think stands tall with Leeds, and it's the pressure aspect. We saw last year how amazing we were when that pressure was off. We got automatic promotion after West Bromwich Albion lost to Huddersfield.
Yeah.
And, the shackles were off and we were just unbelievable. Every single game we went into, we were just, we're thumping teams apart from Barnsley, which stands out. But I think that was before that, actually. I think it was when we were trying to gain promotion. I can't remember.
This season as well, though. They've come on leaps and bounds, haven't they?
That's it.
I thought at the time they were a good team, but
do you not think, mate, it is when pressure is off Leeds? We know we're staying up now. I think that 32 points now. I think maybe a win here or there, a draw here and there. I actually think we could go the entire season now without picking up a point. And I think the league is what it is this year, and I think we'll stay up. But now the shackles are off. We're going to Arsenal at the weekend. If we beat Arsenal at the Emirates with the side that we have,
then this conversation heightens even more.
It speeds up big time, and I think it's good to have a discussion about it now, because for me, the pressure is off, and the pressure is on a lot of teams going for Europe. And could Leeds sneak in? We saw it with Sheffield United, mate, didn't we? They were so close last year with a worse squad than we have.
Well, it's interesting you say about Sheffield United. I was looking, we're on 32 points at the minute. This time last year, 32 points, you were sixth. At this point, at this many games played, 32 points last season had you sixth. So why is it a daft conversation? Obviously, you can't take that into account. So I looked at the last 10 years. To get seventh over the last 10 years, on average, you need 58 points. 58 points gets you seventh. And I think seventh gets you Europe this year due to who's left in the FA Cup and the final of the League Cup. So 58 points, what's that? 26 points needed?
That's 15, 16 games as well.
16 games left, 26 points needed to get seventh if you work on the average. And I think you bang on, mate, with the pressure. I think this year's target was 17th, absolutely 17th. And we're not going to be 17th. We know that we're going to finish 17th. And I think you're right, mate. We could pack up now and we don't go down. What's 18th on 14 points? They need to double it and more to catch 32 points. So I think the pressure is off us. So I think you bang on with that, mate.
Yeah, I think as well. I think the big thing as well, Brownie, I don't know if you agree, mate, but what's Bielsa thinking? Because for me, you see it every single game, and we know he's erratic. We know he's obsessed about the game. He doesn't seem satisfied. I edit his press conferences a lot. He says we had a good game, we weren't perfect. And for me, with the pedigree of the man, him being at Marseille, him having success in European competitions at Bilbao. For me, he's not looking down. He was never looking down. He's always looking up. And I think it's a key point to mention the fact that we've got this guy at the helm. It's not like we can't compare Leeds to any other promoted side because Leeds have the edge in Bielsa.
Absolutely. And I think I'll hold my hands up. I thought this would be Bielsa's last year. I really did. I really thought he always needs a challenge. He always needs a target. And I thought staying up was his target this year. And I thought that'd be it. Him done. Off he goes back to Argentina. But I don't know. He just seems more animated with the goal celebrations. Last year, he was there drinking his coffee, tea, his hot chocolate Ribena, whatever he has in his cup. Whereas this year, when he's celebrating, he's fist pumping. It's almost as if he knows there's another level. He knows that, like Lena's saying about he always needs a challenge. He wouldn't settle for just finishing 17th every season, just to stay in the Premier League. The next challenge would be that Europe step. So I think in order to keep Bielsa, he needs a challenge to sink himself into as well. So that's why I do think he will stay next year, because he can see, look, we've said on the show before, we finished the Leicester game with 11 Championship players. He can see he's not far off that mid-table. We're in mid-table as it is. So with more additions, he can go to that next level, which I think helps us attract Bielsa for a bit longer.
Yeah, definitely. And I just think it's, got a game in hand over a lot of teams as well. That game in hand would have probably turned round ages ago when Southampton were absolutely storming it and thought, but now, that game in hand looks quite tasty. And don't get me wrong, they've got a lot of depth. They're a brilliant side, Southampton. We're not expected to beat them, but we keep defying the odds. 2021 for Leeds United so far has been good. It's been a good start, in the reverse fixtures. No teams have done double on us yet. And I think it's massively important to say that as well at the back, and we're going to get onto Raphinha, but at the back, we seem to have got a solid basis in Strike and Cooper. We're conceding less goals than we were throughout the season. We seem to have adapted right now, Brown.
Yeah, I think we seemed, like we say, the game management's better. We were really gung-ho, whereas now, I know we were attacking in the 93rd minute, trying to score a third when Harrison hit the bar and we had to chase back. But for the last 20 minutes of the Palace game, we were literally just keeping the ball. We didn't feel like we had our goal lead. We were happy to keep it. And I think the clean sheet was really important. You could tell at the end, they were just so happy to get a clean sheet. And like we were labelled with this bad defence and what have you. We've kept more clean sheets than Liverpool.
7, which is mad.
Which is mad. And for a team that's got this awful defence, our goal difference isn't negative. So I don't know. You've got
what other team around Europe, as in the teams vying for European places? You know, you're looking at probably Arsenal, Everton. You know, if you take David Luiz out, or you take, you know, for example, Yerry Mina and Michael Keane out for an extensive part of the season, there's absolutely no chance they will be where they are. I mean, it's a different conversation. I think with where we are now, the players coming back as well, Brian. We've got to bear in mind, we've got Rodrigo coming back, Cox coming back in the spring. Llorente's not going to be far away. We hope he can stay fit. But this is a Leeds United side who've been patched up the entire season, and we're still 10th with the game in hand.
And when you look at that top 10 as well, I mean, I know Leeds are a massive club, but I think because we're a massive club, you forget we are just promoted. And I think a lot of pundits forget that we are just a newly promoted team when they write us off left, right and centre, and they expect us to be in the top 6, 7, because that's where historically Leeds have been. But if you look at the top 10, as a newly promoted team, who do you expect to be above? Like, realistically, West Ham, maybe. Villa, we beat them comfortably. But the rest of the other teams, they're established Premier League teams spending millions and millions every summer, every transfer window. And we're there or thereabouts with them in our first season. So as you look for Europe, I think you look at West Ham. I know they beat us at Ellen Road, but there wasn't much in the game. Set piece.
Wolves, there was nothing as well.
Set piece game. And they're 5th, 6th?
Yeah.
So you think, why not? Why not? And you look at some of the games, and I know we're talking about the game in hand, and I just look back at some of the games, you think, Brighton at home. Shouldn't be beat by Brighton at home. And I know that was the final straw for me with the pitch, I think. We were just playing on a cabbage patch. And I think that was the final straw. I don't think Bielsa will have been happy with having to play his football on that. And I think getting beat by Brighton was probably the turning point for us getting the new pitch. But you look at games like that and you think, there's a couple more points and you are 8th. So you're a game away from really being in that mix. But the cynic in me, and like we said the other night, I'm the most pessimistic fan ever. You think you also a few defeats and you're only, do you know what I mean? You're then talking about, we want to finish 10th, 11th where we are now. So I think it is a discussion, but we don't want to get too giddy and then fall flat. Because at the beginning of the season, if we'd have finished 11th, you'd have been absolutely ecstatic. Or if you finished 13th, we'd have thought, great first season. Whereas now, I don't want to finish any lower than that. It's all with Leeds United, it's always right, I want the next bit. You want it straight away because we have had to go through so much rubbish for the last 16 years. We want to run before we can walk, I think. And we've got to be very careful. Like, I think it was Dan about the squad depth. That is a worry for me, being in Europe. I think Burnley did it one year, looking at it. They finished 7th and they got into Europe. I know they didn't qualify. They got beaten in the qualifiers, but they had to start their pre-season really early. And it really suffered their season. They nearly went down. The next year. So it's a very fine line. But I think the factor it is Leeds and it is Bielsa. You do attract, but you will attract more players. So the squad depth.
I've seen a lot of people as well talking about Sheffield United. And listen, Sheffield United didn't get into Europe, but they finished 9th on 54 points with a lot of people could argue a League One / Championship team. They got there on momentum, and I think
lockdown killed them after. To be fair, sorry, Connor. I think they only won one. I think they beat Chelsea at home after lockdown, and after that, so that atmosphere obviously changed their season. So where would they have finished if it hadn't been for that lockdown? Obviously, momentum and everything. They had to have the 3-month break. So, like you're right to bring up Sheffield United because the squad. Should it have been there? Probably not. Well, you can see where they are this season, but
I think with regards to Sheffield United, mate, it's key to note, and with Burnley, it's really hard to not sound ignorant here, but there are so many different factors to Leeds United. The fact that we've got Marcelo Bielsa, the fact that we've arguably got one of the top 3, top 4 wingers in the division, the fact that we have, like you said, established a pattern of play now, which is it's almost every single player is in line, the synonymous, and really the only goals for me that we massively concede are down to individual errors. It's never a world-class moment, and I think this final half of the season, if you look at the numbers, I hate to bring them up again, But Bruno Fernandes' impact on Scum and his impact on their season is mirrored in what Raphinha is doing for us. And if we can keep this guy fit and we can get the players who will naturally step up their game around him, we've got, and in such a freak season, which could see Aston Villa get top 3, top 4, that sort of season, there are so many factors that play into Leeds' hands. And people talking about next year, Sheffield United, Burnley, we're not the same team. We don't, it's not. Marcelo Bielsa was never in charge of Burnley or Sheffield United. He wasn't able to attract Champions League footballers like Raphinha and Rodrigo. Burnley and Sheffield United weren't able to sell those sort of players on. You look at Sheffield United, Brownie, we were just talking about it, bringing in Ryan Brewster this year for 24 million. Leeds United are not going to do that next year. And I think there's so many differences between Leeds and a Sheffield United and a Burnley.
I think you're right, and I know what you mean about the ignorance. It's like, but it just the Leeds United brand itself, it is an established name across Europe, so you will attract players, and then you add Bielsa on top of that. You know what I mean? I mean, you don't have, again, I don't want to sound that ignorant, but you have Amazon making documentaries about the club. That it's just a big. I hate mirroring football with being a business, but in business terms, Leeds United is a big name, so you are going to attract bigger players. And I think the Shea Adams saga last year echoes that we won't do a thing with Brewster. Southampton wanted X amount, and Leeds were like, no, we just simply won't do that. We won't pay money for a player that we don't value at that price. Brewster's never been 24 million. He didn't really. He scored a few goals for Swansea, but I think that he didn't set the world alight. There was no reason for him to go be 24 million. So I think you're right, mate. I don't think next year we will be held to ransom at all with players. And I think we've got to give Victor a lot of credit for the players he has brought in over the last couple of years. I know there's been 1 or 2 flops, but on the whole, they have been quality players. And it was weird about talking about players. I was having a chat with my mate. We brought up Sami Saiz, and I just think a penny for his thoughts. What must he be thinking now? Because I loved him, to be fair. I mean, I thought he was great, and he must be looking now thinking, I should probably have stayed there.
Yeah, I mean, I saw did you see Jansen's tweet to Cooper as well the other day? I do wonder what. I mean, I think Brentford will be a Premier League club next year anyway, and they're a very good club how they run. But yeah, you must, because I think he had a big affinity with Leeds. You could tell Jansen, he had a massive thing with Leeds. And I think that's a big thing to talk about as well, Brown. I think a lot of the players that have moved on, like you've just said, a lot of the big players we've had will definitely be looking back at this and thinking, oh God, if I'd have stuck around, if I'd have dug my heels in, if I'd have been working as hard as so-and-so on the, you know what I mean, on the training pitch.
I think that echoes how much affinity Leeds fans have with Phillips, because he was of that golden generation with Taylor, Cook, Mauer, that them 4 that were really publicised a lot. And you look at the 4 of them now, I think out of the 4 of them, Charlie Taylor's played in the Prem for a lot of years and established himself as a Premier League left back. And I think if Burnley went down, I think he'd still stay in the Prem. But it's that Burnley thing again. Phillips stayed, and he's now excelled. He's an England international, and he's a Premier League footballer. He's doing it with Leeds. And I think anybody that's left the club, if they put their hand on the heart, would say, we should have stayed. I'd rather be doing it with Leeds, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Goodall, hi lads, Everton fan here, 2 centre-backs, a left-back and a better goalkeeper. Leeds are challenging for top 6. I mean, I'll tell you what, Sam, we've got 2 centre-backs, but they're injured, mate. I definitely agree with the left-back 100%. Goalkeeper, I mean, we've said before, haven't we, Brian? Well, you said it last time. You think that there's a possibility that Meslier could be sold on for good money, but I think that just shows we got him for 5 million. He's only 20 years old, mate. I think the youngest we've had, the youngest in the Premier League who's made as many appearances as he has was Joe Hart. So, but I think what I want to touch on as well, Brownie, is Raphinha.
Sorry, just finishing off on Europe. Just one thing that's popped into my head, and it was I think he's great on Twitter, that LUSE stats. I think some of the stuff he puts out is class, and we have more points now at this stage than we did in 2001 when we finished 4th.
That's mad. Is that true? Is that true?
Yeah, I've looked at it. We had 29 points in 2000 when we finished fourth, and now we've got 32. We must have gone on one hell of a run to get to
Jesus.
So it's just that Europe thing. It's the pessimistic in me goes, there's something around the corner that's going to blow up, and we're going to have a bit of a nightmare.
We're going to get Brownie. We're going to get sanctions for this pitch. I'm telling you, 40-point sanctions.
We've been a soap opera for the last God knows how many years. We have been a bit of a joke. We've been. I mean, we're unbearable on Twitter at the minute, Leeds fans. But I think if you are a Leeds fan and the stuff that we've had to take for the last God knows how many years, I'm delighted with how Leeds fans are on Twitter, because it's our chance to give some back now, to be fair. But yeah, just saw that stat yesterday and I just thought, wow, because I'm like you, pessimistic. I'm thinking, no, we're not going to. Jill said the same thing. Yeah, I don't think, no, we can't get Europe. But when you see figures like that, and then you look at the average points total to get to Europe, we're not far away.
I can't believe that stat. That's ridiculous.
That was back then when only the top three got into the Champions League. That was the last year. So nowadays, that would have got us Champions League. So,
but is it something, Brownie? Is there something to say? You know, we spoke about the pressure, and you know, the pressure with regards to fans not being there was always a big thing with Leeds. We never knew if it hindered us or it was a good thing. You know, we didn't know. But is it safe to say that, you know, with regards to what's going on right now, Leeds have less pressure on them than any of the sides around them that are going for Europe? Like, you look at Arsenal, who we're coming up against this weekend. There is so much pressure on that lot to get into Europe by whatever means necessary. There's pressure, or even probably on West Ham right now. But it's a freak season, isn't it? And
yeah,
we've seen worse things happen, more mental things happen. I should say.
I think it goes back to that what you said then about the Burnley, Sheffield United. We're not them. Whereas last year they didn't have any pressure. Whereas this year, I don't know what it is. People forget we're a newly promoted team, and it's almost as if they expect Leeds to be in the top 6, 7.
Yeah.
And no matter what we do, there'll always be someone out there going, oh, they're not good at this, they're not good at that. They always expect more just because it's Leeds, I think. But touch on Arsenal, they're in a lot. They've got the most pressure on them the most. Before the call, I was in the car, I was on the phone to my mate, and he was going through wages, and between Aubameyang and Willian, £600,000 a week, just them two. Just them two. Aubameyang's on 375 and Willian's on just over 200. So they're touching £600,000 a week just with them two basic wage. I don't know how they sustain that, not getting into Europe.
No, there's well of
that. That's the road that we went down when we went on our big spiral. We were just shelling out money, didn't get into Europe. So I think the pressure on Arsenal is, it's massive.
Yeah, it's massive, and there's got to be something to say for that, surely, because I think the only person in the club who is looking, you never know. I mean, maybe. I mean, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but maybe Bielsa has said to Rodrigo and Raphinha, "I'm going to get you into Europe this year again. I'm going to get you there, and then we're going to build and build." Maybe we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. No. I cannot envisage Victor Orta and Marcelo Bielsa turning round to Raphinha, a young upcoming lad who's only been at his side for a season at a time, which doesn't bode well, but hopefully it does, touch wood. I cannot envisage that he said to them, right, the optimum aim this year is to stay up. And maybe he has, and maybe I'm just...
That's why Bielsa's more animated, because he knows he needs to get that. He knows that's where he wants us to be. And his goal celebrations, for me, are telling. He last season and the season before, he would just sit there with his cup of tea on his bucket. And now this season, he's fist pumping, he's giving it all this. He's really animated, and I love it. I think it's great to see, because just touching on what you just said then, Connor, it's almost as if he does want more. He doesn't want to just settle for being 17th. And I don't think Marcelo Bielsa is ever will be happy with making up the numbers. He'll always want to go to that next step.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the big sort of thing, isn't it? And with Raphinha, I think we'll touch on him. We have a little bit, but with that sort of Bruno Fernandes influence, is he that man who could sort of make that he's making the difference already, Brownie. But the problem with a lot of teams facing up against this kid is he's getting better and better and better every single game. I mean, the Everton game, he was brilliant. I thought he was the best player on the pitch for us. Then, obviously, the other day was absolutely phenomenal. He's going to attract more attention, but is he going to be that individual who's just going to carry Leeds for the remainder of the season if we are to get into those places?
Yeah, but the good thing about Raphinha is he has got a striker who's got 12 goals this season.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
On 6, so there's a little bit of pressure relieved from him because other players are stepping up. Whereas last year, I think the pressure was solely on Bamford because nobody else was chipping in with goals. And I think that's what magnified Bamford's misses a lot because Click wasn't chipping in, Harrison didn't have many, Costa had 2 or 3. So it was solely Bamford or nothing. Whereas this season, it's almost like the film Jimmy Grimble, where you just give it to Jimmy and let him do it. It's all that's what we do. Give it to Raphinha, let him run with it. And we're always looking for him, but we do have the other options on the pitch which help him. But I mean, Raphinha's doing it on an ice rink and a cabbage patch so far this season. I just can't wait to see what he's like running on a normal pitch where he doesn't have to fall over. He's pulling them tricks out, and everybody else on the pitch are falling over, just running. So, I mean, Raphinha is just as I think I tweeted it. I think he's it's a big call, but I think he's the most technically gifted player I've seen at Leeds in my lifetime. I mean, and we've been in the Champions League in that time, and I really do rate him that highly. That's how high I rate him. Yeah,
he's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I think we've just got a comment here. Rafa, Bamford, and Harrison are phenomenal front 3 together, and I think we always talk about Harrison and this, that, and the other, and I sometimes don't think he's that economical. I think sometimes he
overruns it.
He's passing. Sometimes his decision making's a bit off, but overall, having someone like Raphinha there to match yourself up against, Raphinha scored, I'm going to score. Raphinha's taking someone on, I'm going to take someone on. It's Harrison's always trying to prove people wrong, and I think that's only going to benefit him, isn't it?
And I think we touched on that with Click. He's got nobody to push him.
Yeah.
So has he had a bit of a lull because of that same situation? Whereas, like you say, with Raphinha, Harrison, it's a bit like Liverpool with Alexander-Arnold and Roberts, the left back.
Robertson.
I said Robertson. It didn't sound right. Robertson and Alexander-Arnold, they were competing with who had the most assists. The year they won the league. And it was when one had an assist, the other one felt they had to do something. So it's a very similar thing. He's done something on that side. Right, I need to do something on this side.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and like you say, it just seems that everybody's just think we look. I'm almost the Championship. We won the league, and but I was almost more nervous then than I am now. Like with Leeds now, I'm just like, we're going to every game and we're against the odds, but we always seem to prove everyone wrong constantly.
And I think from the pressure side of it, in the Championship, you had to win every game when you were at the top. Because it was very rare that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th would lose. It almost felt you had to win because the others were winning. Whereas it was very rare 1st and 2nd would both lose in the same game week. Whereas this season, so it sort of ruined your weekend when Leeds lost. And that was it, weekend done. That's how I was. My weekend were gone. I must have been a nightmare to live with. Whereas this season, if you lose, it's still gutting. But the teams below us aren't winning.
No.
We're never in any danger. The teams below us aren't the same, having to win every game. I think Fulham have won 2. Is it 2, 3? We're never really going to be in danger. I think their last win was November, Fulham. You haven't got that pressure of have to win every single game. So that pressure is released from us a little bit. And you're right, we are going into the games as underdogs, which I think suits us a bit with that mentality of us against the world.
There's pressure in it. It's the pressure being off.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like at the weekend with the Arsenal game, it sounds mad because it's Arsenal. It just sounds a massive. It's Arsenal away, but I fancy us.
I do.
That's really weird. It's really weird that you go into Arsenal away and you think, do you know what? We're not going to be outplayed. We're not going to be outrun. We're not going to be tactically done. I think there's 3 games this year where we've been well beaten. and the three Tottenham, Chelsea, Man United, in the end, we were well beaten. But even in them games, there were moments. The Tottenham, don't think it's a penalty. The big turning points, and then the game's gone. And the Man United game, we said, didn't we? We were done after 3 minutes. There were no coming back. And you take them 3 minutes out of the game, and it's a different game. So we've never really been absolutely done over.
Yeah, I mean, it's never good, as Louis says here. Connor fancies us to win, which ain't great. Because when I fancy us to win, mate, it's never a good omen. But
we fancied us the other night, and we won on Monday night.
That is true. I did say the other night I did fancy us, but yeah, I do. I think. I mean, me and Brownie will do a preview for Arsenal, so we'll leave our thoughts for that. But in one word, Brownie, can we make Europe?
No, because I'm the most pessimistic person.
I mean, it's all. Listen, it's all.
We can make it because of the season that we're having, and the other teams around us. The points were well in the mix. I don't think we will, but so the question is, can we make Europe? Yes, we can make Europe. My opinion is no, we won't, but I think we can. If that makes that's lockdown nonsense for you, innit? Yes and no. But
I think we'll push them very, very close, and I'll be absolutely over the moon with even pushing them close, because it means we're going to get some more good wins in there. And I think as well, Brownie, you can even tell from this second half of fixtures, Bielsa'S learning and Leeds are learning, and I think you can tell that with the goals conceded. I think White Peacock said it earlier: 5 goals conceded in 5 games, which in the Premier League with this Leeds.
Yeah, I've not noticed that with the comment that came up. It was good to see, to be fair, because you do associate Leeds with leaking goals. And every time you hear Leeds playing, it's when every team never gets a corner, all you hear the commentators say, "Oh, and they've been really bad from defending set pieces." Yes, we have, but not lately.
No,
we conceded 1, I think, lately. But I think April's tough. Obviously, the Liverpool, Man United. The running after that, if we're still in the mix, and you ask me that question, then yes.
But Brownie, every team's going to have that run. Every team's going to have a City, a Scum, an Arsenal. They might not always be congested, but they're going to have those runs. It's all about the recovery. You know, what are we going to do afterwards or before?
But that run. I know it's completely off topic, but I don't think Bielsa'S ever lost 3 on the spin.
No,
I don't think he's ever lost 3 on the spin. So that run being congested could be good for us. We might get a win out of them 3.
Yeah, and it is always when we're up against it, when, you know, it's like Forest and then went to Brentford and you're thinking, we're going to get an absolute tonk in here. And then, you know, you do think it's the succession of games where we lose and we're going to struggle on the way back. I mean, just touching on Arsenal, a lot of Arsenal fans, and this is very easy to say, will talk about that game in particular. And like I said, me and Brownie are going to do a preview on this, but they'll talk about that and they'll say, it was a sending off. Absolute rubbish. Before the sending off, we were all over them. We were pushing them back. We were all over them. And this is why, with this whole European chat, when we've been playing, like you've just said, mate, West Ham, we were not that. They were the better team, but we were in it. Everton are not better than us this year. I'm not having it. They've got more depth. It's even more credit to Leeds because they've got $500 million on the pitch. They have not been better than us. And teams around us.
It's a credit to Leeds because you say there, I don't think they have been better than us this season, and they're only a few points above us. But when you look at the squads on paper, we shouldn't be anywhere near them.
We should be bottom 2, mate, with the squads.
We shouldn't be anywhere near talking about this Europe conversation with the squad. I mean, the bench. I love seeing young kids come through, but the bench, it's not a Premier League bench. I'm sorry, but it ain't.
With Pablo out as well, and Gelhardt was in. I think the average.
There we are, top 10.
Yeah, and but that doesn't get you a headline, does it? It doesn't get you a headline when you're talking about Leeds. It's how Leeds
United thing coming back again, isn't it? It's the whole Leeds United thing. It's because it's Leeds United. They need to be doing this. We're a newly promoted team, and it just goes under the radar, I think. Because
Brownie, one performance I want to pitch in there. Who's done to Villa what we did to Villa this year? Villa have been unbelievable. You've got to give them credit.
Yeah.
Against the top 6.
Fernandes. I think Grealish is there. Grealish is their player. Do you know what I mean? And they have done really well. They spent a lot of money. I will say that. I was when I was in the dreaded dentist waiting room this morning, a tweet came up, and I think they've spent the 5th most in Europe. Next, as in not recouped money, but big spend on it.
Yeah, the rich club. This means something to me and you, done it, Brownie? Connor, great podcast with you and Brownie. Leeds and Tad Albion. Yeah, we're both of us have played for Tad, so there you go.
Yeah. Get your roots.
That's it. Yeah. But yeah, mate, I think we'll leave it at that. We're just pigeon on 40 minutes. Thank you all so much. I didn't expect this many people. We've got nearly 500 people watching live, which is mental for a lunchtime. But thank you so much.
Just touching on that, Connor, obviously it's lockdown and it's hard for people. So if there is a better time for people and stuff like that, by all means, like whatever works for other people, definitely, because it is a hard time and we do all need to stick together. So stuff like this is great, especially for people who are not working and stuff like that. So like you say, it's a lunchtime. It might work for people doing it more often, something like this.
Yeah, exactly. So just let us know in the comments, guys. It's a good point Brownie makes there. If there's a lot of people who are struggling in this time, and if you want us to do more things lunchtime wise, we can absolutely accommodate that. That's absolutely fine, no problem with that. So let us know in the comment section below. I know a lot of people work on evenings, so it's probably going to be lunchtime or evenings that we do some stuff. But the next video will be your Arsenal preview. That's probably either going to come Sunday, innit? So maybe sort of Thursday, Friday. We'll try and get something out there.
Sounds like doing a Luton preview, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But I hope you're enjoying these with me and Brownie. Brownie is going to be joining the channel, which is something that I'm very excited over. He's got himself a new little mic there, look. Which is
I feel like Men in Black. I need to press a button and something's going to fire out.
That's it, mate. But yeah, so Brownie's going to be joining the channel, which is really exciting news. I know a lot of you guys love this discussion. Football is subjective. Football's a game of opinions. And I always say to everyone on the chat, football's a game of opinions. So actually having someone to talk to who knows football probably more than me is great. So yeah, I appreciate that. Slap a like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't, guys. And me and Brownie will see you in a bit. Cheers.